50,000 men. It is an army large enough to conquer a civilization. 50,000 spears, 50,000 shields, 50,000 lives. In 524 BC, this massive force marched out of Thebes. Their destination was the Siwa oasis. Their mission was destruction. They marched into the desert and simply ceased to exist. No bodies were ever found, no armor, no survivors returning to the Nile. For 2,500 years, history has told us the desert ate them. But the desert does not eat armies. Men do. To understand the disappearance, we must understand the man who sent them to their deaths. Cambyses II, King of Kings, ruler of the Achaemenid Empire. Greek historians, particularly Herodotus, painted Cambyses as a mad king, a butcher who mocked the Egyptian gods and stabbed the sacred Apis bull. While modern history suggests these were exaggerations by his enemies, Cambyses was undoubtedly a conqueror. He had seized Egypt, but his rule was not absolute. There was one voice of dissent. Deep in the western desert, the Oracle of Siwa refused to legitimize his kingship. In the ancient world, you did not ignore an oracle. You silenced it. Cambyses split his forces. He sent 50,000 men from Thebes to burn the temple at Siwa and enslave the priests. They reached the oasis of Karga safely. They resupplied. They turned west into the Dune Sea and vanished from the human record. The only primary source we have for this catastrophe is Herodotus. Writing roughly 75 years after the event, he claims the army had stopped for a midday meal. Suddenly, a red wind, the Simoom, rose from the south. Herodotus writes, "A wind arose, blowing with great violence, and brought with it vast columns of sand, which entirely covered up the troops, and thus they wholly disappeared." It is a terrifying image, but as historians, we must apply physics to mythology. Sandstorms kill, they disorient, they dehydrate, they strip flesh, but they do not bury 50,000 standing men and thousands of pack animals deep enough to elude archaeologists for millennia. Equipment scatters, bones surface, the desert shifts. If nature alone killed them, we would have found the debris field. Over the centuries, many explorers have claimed to find the lost army. The most famous attempt came recently, in 2009, by the Castiglione brothers. They discovered a rock shelter containing human remains and bronze weaponry. The world's media declared the mystery solved, but rigorous history requires more than a few bones. The Egyptian Antiquities Authority, led by Zahi Hawass, rejected the findings. The dating was loose. The army was likely a small caravan or a trade patrol. You do not find 50,000 soldiers by finding 3 daggers. This was yet another mirage. The answer did not come from digging in the sand. It came from reading the rocks. Enter Professor Olaf Kaper of Leiden University. While excavating at the Dakhla Oasis, a critical stop on the trade routes, he found something that changed the timeline of Egypt. He found the cartouches of a pharaoh that history had forgotten, Petubastis III. We had always assumed Egypt was fully under Persian control. We were wrong. Kaper's theory is brutal in its simplicity. The army did not die of wind. They died of war. Petubastis was a rebel pharaoh who had seized the western oases. He had an army of his own. He lay in wait at the Dakhla oasis. When the exhausted Persian troops arrived, thirsty and disoriented, they weren't met by a sandstorm. They were met by an ambush. 50,000 men were slaughtered or defected. The rebellion was real. Petubastis even crowned himself pharaoh in Memphis shortly after. So why does Herodotus tell us about the wind? Because of the man who came next, Darius I. After Cambyses died, Darius reconquered Egypt. He crushed the rebellion of Petubastis. But Darius was a master of propaganda. To admit that a great Persian army was annihilated by a local Egyptian rebel was humiliating. It showed weakness. So Darius rewrote the narrative. Nature is a dignified enemy. A red wind is an act of God. Losing to the desert is a tragedy. Losing to a rebel is a disgrace. Petubastis was erased from the monuments. The battle was erased from the archives. And the sandstorm became the official lie. For 2,500 years, we looked for bodies that weren't there because we believed a lie told by a king who wanted to hide his shame. The 50,000 soldiers of Cambyses did not vanish into the sand. They vanished into propaganda. The desert keeps its secrets, it is true. But sometimes, The hardest thing to dig through isn't the earth, it's the story.